Hello, I'm Tim Morris with NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, and I'm here today with photographer Kathleen Flynn and reporter Rebecca Catalanello to talk about a compelling series of stories they recently produced on allegations of physical, spiritual, and sexual abuse at the New Bethany Home for Girls in North Louisiana. The story begins with a group of women gathering to help another woman file her police report decades after she says she was abused at New Bethany. Kathleen, I first wanted to ask about how we found out about the story and what we expected to find when we went up to be with these women as they filed this report.
And so that I basically first made contact with the New Bethany women probably in December of 2012, and since then, was very interested in their story, and I felt like it needed to be told, but we had a hard time really finding a peg to why should we tell this story now that since the school's already been closed down, how are we going to get this into the news? But I kept in conversation with them for like about a year. Finally, we found out. I got a message from Teresa saying that they were going to be making this trip, and I felt like this was a compelling
Right,
story.
so we go up there and these women, some of them had not really met personally in the first time. They've been in the chat rooms and emails and so forth. So there's this emotional time in which they're first getting together, and then there's a day later, very emotional time in which they go to the sheriff's office. How, as a photographer, you're in the middle of all this drama and emotion, how do you remain kind of out of the scene enough so that you're not distraction or intrusive, but that you get the incredible pictures and video that's part of this project?
Well, I knew going into it that it was a situation that was going to be highly emotional, and these women were going to have to, in order to get their story right, they were going to have to be very vulnerable with me and with Rebecca. I think a big part of their trusting me came from the fact that I had done this other project. They'd seen my work, they saw that I cared about the issues that they were going to share with me, and there was a level of trust already built because of that previous body of work. And also that I had a year in conversation with Teresa, and I think Teresa trusted me, and therefore, because I had that trust with Teresa, the other women kind of also trusted me.
Well, and Rebecca, you start telling the story through the eyes of Jennifer Halter, who is the woman who's coming back to file this report, and it starts there, but the story is huge because the Home for Girls existed for many, many years, and we started finding a lot more women coming forward. How did you decide how to frame this, and how did the story evolve over time?
Well, it was clear to us from the beginning that the most compelling story we could tell was this journey of this woman who went to extraordinary lengths to try to give police the story of her abuse. She's very, very sick. She has histiocytosis X. It was very dangerous for her to even get on a plane, let alone the fact that she is fearful of flying. So that just the journey itself was compelling, but there was all this other stuff that we had to be able to let readers in on, and that was the history of New Bethany, and that there was this pattern over 30 years where you would see a runaway would go to police or to child welfare authorities, tell their report. The state and local authorities would try to investigate. Children would be taken from the home, and then the home would either reopen or just continue to enroll more children. And so over the years, you just see this pattern where it was clear that authorities, local and state authorities, were aware that there were things happening in this home that shouldn't have been happening, but no one was ever prosecuted, at least as it relates to the girls' home, and that left this big question as to why. And I think that it was important for people not only to see Jennifer's journey, but to get a better understanding of, the history of New Bethany.
At the end of your trip to Arcadia, Louisiana, which is where the home is, the women go there to see it again, and they come across a man that they're pretty sure is Mack Ford, who founded the school and in some cases is the person accused of the sexual abuse. And the women don't confront him, and I was interested, the two of you do, and I was interested in what you were thinking about that, and and how that confrontation went.
We didn't know that when we arrived there, we weren't going to have to knock on a door at all. He was going to be there on the road. So after the women decided that they had seen what they needed to see and they got in the car and they left, we just decided to approach him.
And he's sitting in this little Kubota, and we basically are making ourselves vulnerable walking down the road.
Yeah, we weren't really sure what the outcome of that encounter would be. The best case would be he would say, "Yeah, I'm ready to talk," and the worst case was perhaps, some kind of violence. There is video on YouTube of women going to New Bethany, and then you hear gunshots firing in the distance, and they claim that it was Mack Ford. We don't know for sure whether that's the case or not, but we weren't real sure. But in the end, it was he just asked us to get out of there, and eventually we did.
One of those moments for journalists. Well, you can read The Long Road to the Gates of New Bethany and Back at www.NOLA.com/news. And this, as we said, is an investigation is ongoing, so stay with NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune for developments in this case and more. My thanks to NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune photographer Kathleen Flynn, and reporter Rebecca Catalanello for talking with us today, and our thanks to you for watching.